So, how did we get here? When we talk about narcissism and all the damage it causes, the confusion it leaves behind, the way it twists closeness into something completely different. When do we start to ask deeper questions like, how did we get here? Because it wasn't always this bad, right? I don't have the recollection of it ever being this bad. I mean, it always existed, sure, but not quite like this. Like lately, it's infiltrated everything. It's in the languages that we use to communicate within our relationships with each other, our media feeds within the system itself. We're directly reflections of that. And over the past 5 years, it feels like it within itself has become a pandemic. Spreading, shape shifting, multiplying. And the more we name it, or maybe more accurately state it, the more we point it out in others, the more it seems to be growing. The more divided we seem to be becoming, not just from each other, but from ourselves. So, what is it really? What's beneath all the behaviors, the thing that we call narcissism? Because we can't just keep labeling it. I mean, labeling helps, yeah, sure, 100%, because it's for ourselves. It's about recognizing the harm, setting boundaries, and naming what's real and what happened to us within our experience. But when it becomes a tool for blame, a way to shame someone instead of looking at the deeper issues, we're feeding the same pattern we're trying to break or heal from. And what if it's not about a person being bad? What if it's, let's say, an entire culture built on insecurities, a need to protect, to prove, a subconscious survival mechanism that we've learned? I am not ever enough. I'm not enough. This behavior doesn't just come out of nowhere. We're not just born like this. It comes from these deep wounds that were created when we were very little. Fears of not belonging, from growing up with conditionings that taught us that we need to perform, that feelings are a weakness, to dominate instead of connect, to control instead of showing vulnerabilities. And since the COVID shutdown, that stay inside, stay 6 feet apart, no physical contact, you're going to kill your grandmother, it had great consequences, like something called global mass trauma. Everything has been amplified since then, and it's become a collective sickness. It's despair that's hidden need for connection is a desperation to be someone that we're not, because we've learned to not like ourselves. And it's coming up, rushing to the surface, like apexing, exploding like a volcano, creating these narcissistic behaviors, building tension. It's the perfect storm. And it's real damaging. But what if we only meet it with name calling, ghosting, and walking away, and labeling people as broken? What if that just creates a missing link to a solution? How do we learn to respond with compassion while holding people accountable? How can we name the harm without dehumanizing the individual? How can we create boundaries and understand where it all comes from? Because this isn't about letting people off at all. They're not off the hook for the abuse or bad behavior. It's not about that. It's about getting curious rather than defensive about where the behavior began to metastasize. Because it's growing like a cancer. Like, can we see the wound underneath that armor? That cruelty is just an armor. And can we choose healing over hierarchy? Can we just go to anarchy instead? Because if we really want change, though, we can't just diagnose the world. We have to commit to building something different. And we have to go through the stages of asking ourselves, what does that look like? Because that would mean potentially just being the change you wish to see. Maybe it's being the support that we've never gotten. Maybe it's standing up for each other, gently reminding someone when their behavior is also harmful, without exiling them. Maybe it's the reintroduction to safe space in a world traumatized by shame and fear of not belonging. Maybe it's remembering, hey there, we're all humans. And that shame and humility aren't our biggest threats, but what is our divide. Can we create safe space to be authentic? And instead of making all these videos about how bad everyone is, you know, empath versus narcissist is still divide. What if we created content about protecting each other from abuse itself, about calling out the behavior gently and reminding one another how to apologize? You should apologize to that person you were kind of a hole to, you know, staying connected, still holding down morale. It's brave to be a voice in a world indoctrinated to hold silence and to look the other way. We are responsible for holding one another accountable within our culture, because healing it's a community effort, not purely individualistic. And telling someone, hey, you need therapy or go get mental help when they share their pain with you, especially when that pain comes from being abused, that within itself is a form of abuse. It's a silencing tactic, and it's a move wrapped in fake concern. And this is the creation of the Great Isolation, where a community is becoming transactional when we need each other the most. We are failing to show up for one another, and I'm watching this with my own eyes. It's not just hype, it's not just stuff, it's not just blah, 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 blah. The question is, can we remember how to walk a mile in someone else's shoes again? Or to walk alongside them? Have you noticed that ain't nobody got time for that? When we need that compassion more than anything right now. And what can we conclude from all of this? Well, there's a mass shift happening. I think you see it. It's creating isolation, fear, inability for accountability, inability to apologize, alienation, detachment, disconnection, disharmony, hyper-individualism, divide, burnout, discard, abuse, silence, crazy-making, Darvo, blame, violence, hate, rage, and suicide off the charts, all-time highs. And underneath all of it is a deep, aching desire to feel connection, to feel seen, heard, a deep need to belong, to feel safe within a community. Every single one of us. And we have to learn to lead by example. If we want to see a different world, we need to co-create it. Because right now we are being psychologically manipulated. Yes, we are in a giant psyop war. And these systems have turned us into weapons against one another. We've been taught to compete and compare for our worth, so we never feel good enough to co-create. There's no support where there is competition. There's no community where there is transaction. There is no home where we are all disconnected, and this is the war on love. The war on compassion, and this is an agenda to make us all forget who we are and where we come from. But nothing in this universe is linear, no, nothing straight at all. It's all circles, cyclical, spirals, spinning infinitely. The more we forget, the more we lose our identity as creatures aboard this mothership. Mother Earth, yeah, that one. That's home. Remember? Can you remember?